So Dr. Brain Tarawo is so passionate, leading initiatives such as teleconsultations, mobile clinics, focusing on the health, gender equality, innovation, and reducing inequalities. And that's not all. He has She has also authored several research articles, including studies on malaria, anemia, and the blood profile of COVID-19 patients. So Dr. Brain Tarawo he is a yearly alumnus, meaning yearly means he has completed the course on the Young African Leaders Initiative. So he has also contributed as a review team. He has also contributed as a review team member for academic publications. And Dr. Taro Krinji is highly active on the professional social media platform, where he shares his work advocacy, inspiring countless individuals to pursue healthier and more informed choices. So he's also an expertise, dedication. His expertise, dedication, and the innovative approach to healthcare aligns perfectly with today's theme. It is therefore with great pleasure and admiration to invite you to join me welcome this amazing and inspiring speaker of tonight, Dr. Brain Tarawo Cringe, who will share with us his insights on this topic, navigating peer pressure and making healthier choices. So, Dr. Brain, we are also proud to have you with us, and the floor is yours, sir.
Thank you so much. Good evening, everyone. I've just been trying to listen to that and ask myself whether is that me or someone else you're talking about. All right. So that being said, I am very excited about this topic and to share my experience and also share my insights on how we can navigate peer pressure and make healthy choices. And I'm equally happy to see that there are many of us present in the meeting today, which means it is a topic which is of interest to all of us. So I will plead that we can mute our microphones to reduce interference while I am presenting. And in the end, we all have the opportunity to contribute, ask questions, and equally to share your personal experiences to help the whole team of persons who will be listening to this now and even after this presentation to learn from you. So, once more, I am passionate about transforming lives, especially in the aspect of health and health behaviors. So, the topic navigating peer pressure and making healthy choices is a combination of health and health behaviors and what influences your health. And the focus of this presentation will just be to help us gain awareness that can transform our knowledge into action. And this knowledge should bring about confidence and eventually resilience. So, I would like to begin with this passage of the Bible, First Corinthians chapter 15, verse 33. I'm not so sure if everybody is a Christian, but at least it is a reference for everyone. So it says, "Do not be deceived, evil company corrupts good habits." You can see a guy there pulling a rope with a lady. So one person is actually influencing the other. Like it or not, one person would influence the other. So I want you to reverse this and also say a good company motivates good habit. So if it's a bad company that corrupts good habits, a good company would motivate good habits. So if you're poor and you're in this forum and you're peers or friends are poor, just know that you're in a bad company. Hallelujah. If you are struggling with substance addiction and you have peers that are addicts, it's a bad company. If you are an unhealthy person and your friends or peers are unhealthy, it's a bad company. So I am saying that there will always be a choice to make, and any choice you will make as far as your company is concerned will make you. There is a statement that goes around that if you are around 5 millionaires, it means you are certainly the 6 millionaire in the making. So that is to say that your company can determine who you will become and who you are. So by the end of this presentation, I have these objectives I know we will meet, which is to understand what peer pressure is and recognize how it is in your life, how it is impacting your life, whether conscious or unconscious. Identify the habits that are supposed to support you make choices that will prioritize your well-being, and we're going to dissect what well-being is all about subsequently. And you have to develop practical ways in how to make decisions that would sustain your well-being and make you healthy, productive, and of course accomplish. So I'll begin with the power of peers, and I want to underscore on this slide that as long as you have peers, you will always have peer pressure, whether you like it or not. So as children, they are peers. As young adults, you have peers. Even as adults, you have peers. Even as old persons or individuals, you still have peers. So peer pressure is not only a topic for young people as it is often perceived, that of course it is for the young, so I don't have to attend this. So you have your own age group or your own peers, and they will always influence you, and that is what we call peer pressure. So peers influence our thoughts, our behaviors, and self-image. How many of you agree that each time you go online on WhatsApp, Facebook, on LinkedIn, there is always one thing there, here or there, that unconsciously makes you feel like I'm not achieving or I'm achieving? So it always affects the way you think, the way you're going to behave, and the way you perceive yourself. So there is always pressure on you from your age group or from your peers, as we may call it. And these pressures can be of two types. It can be a negative motivation or negative aspect, or it can be something positive, which is a motivation. So one way or the other, you cannot escape this cycle. You always have some things that are going to come to your life from your peers, and they either serve as a positive influence or a negative one. So, positive, we're talking about positive peer pressure, and we're talking of negative influence when we're talking about negative peer pressure, where the word pressure sometimes always seems to be bad, but it is not all that bad. So your pressure can be a positive one as well as it can be a negative one. So the invisible race, what is it all about? There is a race that we are all running, and believe me, consciously or subconsciously, there is a race we run which is about measuring ourselves against others. For instance, your friends are married or your friends are having this and that, they own this, for example, iPhones, or your friends are successful, they perform well, or this or that at your job site, or whatever it may be, they own cars, etc. These kind of things always make us get into a race where we keep measuring ourselves by how much others have made or achieved or failed to achieve. So peer pressure often fuels what we call competition or comparison, because you're measuring yourself against somebody else, and it begins to raise in you the need for approval. That is to say, the need for somebody to say you have done well or you haven't done well, or you're doing something which is, well, you just want praises, or people just say congratulations, excellent, this and that. So there is always that sense of wanting somebody to say something about you so that it makes you feel like you are living life. And those are the pressures of life. So what is peer pressure? Peer pressure is simply the influence that members of your peer group, it could be your age mates, it could be your classmates or whatever, have on your behavior or causes you to behave in a certain way. They can be direct or indirect. When we talk of direct, we are just talking about an explicit request to you directly. Indirect are the things that they don't tell you, but by the way they behave. For instance, the things they say, the things they post, the things they wear, the things they drive, the things they even eat, those are things that indirectly would speak to you. That's non-verbal communication, but they don't say it to you like with their words. And these things makes you feel pressure to want to dress in a certain way, to want to speak in a certain way, or act in a certain way just because you want to fit in. That is a pressure, whether you like it or not, whether you're conscious or unconscious. These things will often affect you and make you run a race of measuring yourself against others, and which is typically what we call peer pressure. So, how does these pressures connect to your health or your future? I want you to understand that peer pressure relates to your health directly, and we'll know, in fact, we'll discuss what health is subsequently. So, I want you to understand that the choices that you make as a result of what people feed into your mind, whether it is conscious or unconscious, is going to affect number one, your physical health, number two, your mental health, and your social and academic with your career success. So, what therefore is health? According to the World Health Organization, health is defined as a state of complete physical, mental, and social well being. So, if you are healthy physically and your mental health is not healthy, you're unhealthy. If you're healthy physically and your social life is unhealthy, you are not healthy. So if you're leaving this particular presentation today, you should have it in mind that if I'm only physically healthy, then I am not healthy. So your mental and social well-being is part of your health. There was a webinar I had the opportunity to present when I was talking about polycystic ovarian syndrome and also a little bit about menstrual cycle. I had to emphasize on the fact that a woman can have an altered menstrual cycle just because she is stressed. So at that point, you will now understand that her physical, her mental well-being, which is her stress state, can suppress her from having regular menstruation and of course can cause her to be infertile. That is how much your health receives influence from your environment. So remember that your health is your first wealth. So if you don't prioritize your health, then you have lost your first wealth. And most of us in this forum might already be losing our first wealth, which is our health. And the health here is not only about physical injury, it's about your state of mind and it's about your social life. So when we talk about health, now you now understand health is about mental, it's about physical and also social. So it brings us to understanding that if there is something that influences your social, your mental, and your physical well-being, it is called a determinant of health. So your peers or peer pressure, it's directly a determinant of health. So what are the determinants of health? They are simply factors that influence your health. It can be your biology, which is what most of us think of. That's the family you're born in, your genetics, your age, or maybe your gender. But we forget to understand that there are other determinants of health, which is our environment, and which is particularly what the subject of today is focused on: peer pressure. Peer pressure is an environmental aspect where you have your social or those who are around you influencing you to have either a state of mind that is not good, a social well-being that is not good, or even a physical well-being that is not good, as well as they could have a positive influence on your mental, physical, and social well-being. So we also have determinants, which are our behavior, which is from the behavioral point: lifestyle, habits, and choices. So I want us to understand and underscore the fact that your peers form part of your environment, and so whatever they do to you that affects your mind, your physical state or your social state is an influence to your health directly. So your environment includes the air you breathe, the food you eat, the friends and the peers you keep, and all of that influence you. So your environment matters. Remember in the first slide I said if you are somebody who is unhealthy and you're surrounded by unhealthy individuals, you have a bad company. Remember I equally said if you are poor and your friends are poor, it's a bad company. Please break up and start looking for new friends. If you are in a relationship and everybody is poor and is toxic and they are all addicts, please disconnect yourself. You're already in an unhealthy peer group. Your pressures are very negative on your health. So, how do we recognize peer pressure? There are some things I've listed here just so that you can capture this to understand that when you start feeling or you start noticing these things, you begin to understand that you have a very, very big prison around you, which is the prison of peer pressure. And of course, this slide is talking more about the negative peer pressure. So, what is the warning sign of peer influence? When you begin to feel anxious, like you are left out, everybody is, and I'm the only one who is not. So it's like you're not doing anything. For instance, everyone is smoking. I recently had an interview with one addict who was struggling to come out, and he told me that he got into addiction for more than since 2008, just simply because he was just around in the quarter. His friends began taking it, and of course, he wanted to fit in. He was the only odd person, so he had to try to fit in, and that is how he began smoking cannabis, from cannabis to kayo, methamphetamines to cocaine, and so on and so forth. That is when you start feeling anxious, like you are just odd, you need to fit in. That is a sign. When you start accepting to do things that you normally would not, for example, like the case I've just shared, somebody took cannabis and wanted to taste just simply because he wanted to fit in, something he would normally not do. When you start hiding your true self, that is to say something you don't accept, but you have to do it just simply because you need to fit in. Or when you start recognizing that these feelings of trying to fit in are coming and you are actually resisting them, those are little signs, conscious or unconscious. You should begin to understand that there is an influence on you that is taking a significant impact on your life, and those are the early warning signs. So ask yourself most often, the things which are coming to me as an influence that wants to make you fit in, are they things that align with your values? And that is to say, if you don't have values, someone else will give you values. So, from this presentation, you should ask yourself, am I somebody who has values as far as my health is concerned, mental health, as far as my health is concerned, physical health, as far as my health is concerned, maybe your social well being? And the next question you should always ask, will this improve or harm my well being? For example, when you're involving yourself in for taking cannabis, taking tramadol, tramaking, or what all the names that you can have them, how would it influence your well-being in the present and in the future? And the next question is, are you choosing this freely or are you doing it because you want to please others? When you begin to ask yourself these questions and come out with, you should honestly ask yourself, these are things that you have to sit at the comfort of your environment in a secluded place and ask yourself, whatever it is beginning to affect me in terms of I want to try to fit in, are they aligning with my values? If no, you have to write it down and be very honest with yourself. Whatever that is trying to influence you, does this improve or harm your well-being? If it is a negative answer, you have to still be honest. Are you choosing to do this freely or because you want to please others? And all of these things are going to help you understand that you are in an atmosphere where you are being pushed to the world to do what you're not supposed to do because it's already putting pressure on you, or you're being pushed to do something that aligns with your value, which is putting a positive pressure on you. And healthy choices include choosing what enters your mind, because whatever enters your mind is going to be affecting you and your mental health. Choosing what you consume, like this guy taking cannabis just because, or what, it could be alcohol, it could be whatever, like substances that are being used around, it's going to affect you. In terms of nutrition, just being around peers who consume junk food, for instance, we talk of obesity today, and they're influencing you to consume it just because you want to identify with them. Rest, exercise, self-respect, those are little things from diverse aspects of these peer influences that I was just trying to outline on this slide. So I want you to remember this little statement I've captured here. Do not be so concerned about the present and lose sight of the future. A healthy and productive you is the future that you're looking for. So when you are looking at the present and you're looking at your values, you're looking at whether it's going to improve you or harm you, and you're looking at whether is it a free choice or you're doing it to please others. Always have the future in perspective, and you would understand that your choices of the present should not sacrifice the glory of your future. So what are some of the consequences of peer pressure? One of the most important one, which is a growing concern today, is the aspect of substance use disorder, what we call drug and substance abuse. And it will shock you to hear that in Cameroon, 21, according to the Anti-Drug Committee, 21% of the population has used drugs, meaning that all of you in this forum, 21% of Cameroon is about, Cameroon is averagely 29 million as of now. So what is 21% of 29 million? About 6 million Cameroonians. And 60%, shockingly, of these people who take drugs or are influenced by substance use disorder are between the age of 20 to 25. So, and more than 12,000 of them, 1,200 of them are children that are less than 15 years old. Now, honestly, if you are someone here who plans to have children, you now know that the influence of substance use disorder is not only going to be a problem you can avoid, maybe your children are at risk too. So listening to this presentation already begins to underscore the fact that if you don't have to do it because of yourself, you have to do it because of your children. So this is a subject of discussion where we begin to see the impact of a peer pressure led problem, which is of course becoming a serious public health, not just a public health, it's a global health problem. So according to World Health Organization, 5.8% of the population, that's 296 million people between 15 to 64 are already substance abusers, and most of them are under the influence of pressure from their peers. Of course, how many of you have taken alcohol just because you want to fit into the friends that you are seated around with? It's a question you should answer. So, the social impact of substance abuse is also a growing concern. Some people, by the use of substances, have gotten to contract HIV/AIDS, hepatitis B, and other STIs through use of needle, unhealthy sexual behaviors, and so on and so forth. And it has increased what problems on families in terms of what families have to spend taking care of these diseases, and that's how money is being spent under the influence of peer pressure led uh, peer pressure led behaviors that got them into addictions or addictive habits. How many of you have received cases of people who don't want to keep their babies, or people who have come to you with an incomplete or a septic abortion? It's all under the influence of peers. For some of us who work in clinics and hospitals, we realize that almost every 3 months you have alarming rise of unplanned pregnancy, incomplete abortions, because of trying to fit in, because of pressures that make you want to please others, and you don't think about the repercussions on your health. But in the end, you come forward with a situation that poses a threat directly, not just to your mental but physical health. Unplanned pregnancy is already influencing your mind, which is stress. Unplanned pregnancy already makes you want to take action against your own self. You think most of these people who commit abortions, they do it because it's out of an unstable mind, because you did something that you did not plan for. Now it leads to a cascade of events, and you find yourself at the mercy of almost dying because you did an unsafe abortion. So these are the kind of things that when we talk about peer pressure, we are looking at it from the negative aspect, where people are being pushed to doing things that affect their mental well-being, their physical well-being, and their social well-being, all under the name of I want to fit in, all under the name of I am just alone. And they are sacrificing their future health, their future successes, their opportunities, just because they want to be at the same level with their peers. So, what are the practical ways which we can approach or handle peer pressure? Remember from the first slides, whether you like it or not, you have a company, you have a peer, you have an age group, you have people who influence you consciously and unconsciously. So, how do you combat the pressures that are negative on your life? So when we talk of direct peer pressure, like I said, it could be direct or indirect, where people just ask you to do things like upfront, they dare you to do something. Now, the practical ways you need to build, which are the values I mentioned earlier, is that you have to be able to say no. Unfortunately, some of us here find it difficult to use the word no. From now henceforth, it should not be a difficulty for you to say no, I am not comfortable with it. And believe me, once you say no from the first time, these same people will find it difficult coming back to you. And these are some of the ways you should overcome certain things that can lead you into bad behaviors. It could be into addictive behaviors like substance use disorders, or maybe sexual practices that will end you in serious health problems, STIs, unplanned pregnancies, and so on and so forth. Okay, it could just be something that will land you into spendings, like you spend money that you don't have just because you want to meet up with somebody. It could be spending on for instance alcohol, spending on acquiring for luxurious things that you don't need. There are some people, at times I used to wonder, they say, man, they own iPhone 16, they beg data. So how did you obtain the iPhone 16? Were you obtaining it just to be able to identify with your peers? So I want you to understand that peer pressure, in as much as we want to talk on health here, has other repercussions. Like I said earlier, your health is not only your mental well-being, your health is also your physical well-being, it's also your social well-being. And when you understand that all of these things fit together to influence you positively and negatively, you will begin to prioritize things that will feed positive energy into your mental health, into your social health, and into your physical health. So learn to say no. Learn to walk away from situations. Walk away. In fact, in the Bible, one of the ways a young man escaped a situation was running. If you cannot, if walking is too slow, you run. I mean, you flee. That is Joseph. The Bible says Joseph had to flee from the hands of Potiphar's wife. So if there are moments you have to run, you run. If you cannot run, you flee. And that is how you escape certain problems. Please try to mute your mic and stick with supportive environments. I will keep saying this again, even in the slides that come subsequently. Stick to environment that support your values, people that respect your boundaries, and people that would support you to positively move towards your goals. That is how you absorb energy from positive peer influence and walk away from negative peer influence. Like I said, there are indirect ways your peers may influence you. Just for the fact that you go to your WhatsApp status, for instance, Your friends are all getting married, for example. I'm just using this as an example. And now you force yourself, because you're like, I'm the only one who is left out. You have to go into a toxic relationship, or maybe you end up in a relationship you don't want, and you are traumatized, you become a victim of gender-based violence. And of course, it was all because I wanted to be married just like my friends are. Those are unconscious influences. That's what we call indirect peer pressure. So when you feel pressure to fit in, even without people saying a word, just because of what you see or what, you have to overcome them. And until you begin to prepare your mind on how to overcome them with these practical ways, you will find it difficult overcoming it when it is at your doorstep. So you have to be self-aware, recognize that copying others just to belong is a wrong thing. So you must not copy others because you want to belong. You only copy positively when it has to influence your values and help you get towards your goals. That's to say, you have to know your values. Remind yourself, what are your most important values? From this presentation today, if you leave this classroom, you have to go do this assignment. What are your values? As they say, if you don't stand for anything, you will fall for any. If you don't stand for something, you will fall for anything. So if you don't have values, then peer pressure cannot be avoided. It means you fall for anything that comes to your way. Keep a journal. Most of us that have ventured into many things have understood the value of journaling, because your journal helps you to self-reflect, helps you to correct yourself, helps you to prepare to overcome the errors that you're falling into, and so that you live a better life and a more improved life. And that is to say, the only person you have to compare yourself to in order to draw energy is yourself from who you were yesterday and who you are today. Are you improving? Are you falling backwards? And that is how you make progress. So one of the practical ways, number on this slide 3, of escaping negative peer pressure is to set personal rules. You need to have rules, because when you don't have these rules, how do you measure your progress, or how do you discipline yourself to obtain what you need to obtain, which is beneficial to your mental, physical, and your social well-being? Second, you have to identify that you can be weak at times. Like I said, everybody is exposed to peer pressure. So you need to seek support from people who are moving in the direction that aligns with your goal. For instance, talk to a trusted person. It could be a teacher, a counselor, a pastor, a priest, whosoever, even a medical professional or a mental health specialist, for instance. And again, you should always think about your future, which is the consequence. What you're doing now might be sweet for the moment, but tomorrow, in 2 years' time, it might have a serious consequences on you. That is why I keep emphasizing, recognize and know that you must always have the future in perspective. Do not sacrifice your future glory on the altar of present pleasure. That is how you should always think. Is this going to steal my future? Is it going to wreck my future? Is it going to destroy my dreams? And each time you ask yourself that question, you're going to take better decision as to how to handle your pressures. And practical ways, number 4, is how to harness the energy from positive peer groups. Remember, peer pressure is not only a negative thing, it has a positive part of it. And it's positive when it aligns with your values, when it supports your goals. So how do you draw energy from these kind of things? You have to join groups that are aligning with your goals. It could be that you want to get a certain body structure through sporting activities. And several times I keep saying this even during our diabetic programs, where I encourage patients, if you want to succeed at this exercise, which is going to make your blood sugar or blood pressure go down, you must find groups that influence you and will support you to achieve your goals when it comes to your exercise or when it comes to losing weight. It's the same way for your finances, it's the same way for the aspect of your mental health and your social health. And of course, have a role model and be a role model. Have a role model means have mentors and people you look up to, because once you constantly find yourself falling backward, you can revisit what these people are doing, or you can speak to them and it acts as a positive motivation to you. And of course, celebrate good choices, encourage and compliment those who do the things that are good. In fact, when you compliment others, it also has a feedback on helping you be like, you want to be like them one day, you want to be celebrated. And when you celebrate others, they will also celebrate you. So keep celebrating those who are good, they will celebrate you too soon. And share your goals, especially within a cycle of people that will support you achieve them. I don't talk about my financial goals to just about anyone. I don't talk about my goals in terms of career just about anyone. I talk to people who are going to give me directives and support me towards achieving them. That is how you harness positive peer influence. So staying on track means that remember that any decision you take today is not going to shape just today, it's going to shape now and the future. And surround yourself with people who are going to help you achieve and become the best version of yourself. Remember, never you go without reflecting or journaling. Reflect regularly and always pay attention to the things that make you feel happy, make you healthy, and make you successful as a whole. So, key takeaways from this presentation is that peer pressure is unavoidable, but you can manage it and harness the positive side of it. Awareness of what can keep you or what can destroy you is very important so that you abort the negative things before you ever get to the level where they can mature and become ready for you to put them to bed. That is to say, before you start reaping the consequences of them. Prioritize your well being. And what is your well being? Remember, your well being is your health, and your health is not just your mental, it is your physical as well as your social well being. As we conclude, I want you to remember this: the day you will break free from the captivity of your peers, you will begin to unlock the potential of a healthy you and a successful you. And you have to take action now. It is not tomorrow. Action must be taken now to abort the negative influences of peers on you and to harness the energy from the positive peer influences. These are the references I used, and thank you all very much for your keen attention. We can now interact on questions.
Wow, 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 wow. What a session. I must say, Doc, that I'm really, really glad to have been part of this session of tonight. And I believe that each and everyone who joined the session of tonight will be living with something. And let's remember that you don't have to follow the crowd to belong. Your values, goals, and well-being come first. And let's learn to surround ourselves with people who inspire us to be the best of ourselves. And let's remember that saying no to negative influence is saying yes to growth. Peace and making choices that empower of live and reflect who you truly are. So thank you for this amazing session of tonight. And we'll be diving straight to questions and answers. So if you have any question as per the topic, you can indicate by a hand show or send your questions to the chat box, which will be attended to. So, any questions? Please, if you have any questions, you can just indicate by a hand show so that we can answer that and then move on to the next thing. Okay, I see a hand by Mr. Divine. Mr. Divine, please you can unmute your mic. Then let's hear your question.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. And Doc, thank you for the presentation. It was excellent. My question is, for, for some people like introverts, for instance, they don't have many friends and all that. So what if you're an introvert and the few friends that you have that they're into a habit that you don't like? Do you abandon your small friend group and become an island, or what do you do? Because making friends for introverts is not that easy. So sometimes maybe they can stick around simply because they don't have many friends or they don't have any other option. So they end up doing maybe participating in some things that they normally would not. So any suggestions as to how someone can deal with such a situation? Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Divine. It's also a problem on its own to be an introvert. An introvert is somebody, or let me use a simple way of describing them. They find it difficult letting themselves out in order to identify with their friends, or they find it difficult connecting to new people, getting new relationships. So, in itself, being an introvert is a problem because you have limitations. We may say you have advantages, but we are talking about the disadvantages which you must break free, because you cannot allow your temperament, which is being an introvert, to ruin your future or to tamper with your mental, physical, or social well being. So, in order to address your question, I would like to still bring us back to this slide. As long as good company motivates good habits, bad company corrupts good habits. And there is always a choice you must make. And that choice is either to hang around the bad company that is going to corrupt you and land you in a position or a place where you will not have a return, or you break through from being an introvert and dumping a company that is going to corrupt you and finding new ways of getting into companies that will motivate good habits. Good habits are healthy habits, which could be the way you live, what you eat, what you drink, what you focus on, and so on and so forth. So I would want us to underscore the fact that we may have temperaments, but our temperament should not be a limitation and should not trap us within companies that would destroy our mental health, our physical health, or even our social well being. I would want to quote an example. Should you stay in a relationship even when it is harming you physically? We have had people die in marriages where the husband had to physically traumatize their wives to the point of death, even in relationships where you have a boyfriend and girlfriend. So, should you keep a company like that that threatens your life just because you're an introvert? The answer is no. So you have to break free. You have to find counselors and psychotherapists that can help you become a version of you that minimizes the disadvantages of being an introvert and maximize your ability to network or connect and find companies that will positively influence you, which is the positive peer pressure. So I don't know if somebody has a contribution to answering that question, but that is what I can say on that. Thank you.
Wow, wow. Thank you, Mr. Divine, for that amazing question. I must say that was really a good question. That was a good question. And thank you, Dr. Brain, for answering it that well. So please, if you have any contribution as per the topic or any other question you can ask or any clarifications, just indicate by a hand show, or you can send your question to the chat box. That will read from there. So any questions? Okay, I think we'll move on then. If you, in case remember any question, you can just send to the chat box. That will read from there. So I know that probably you all have heard of home clinic and home clinic foundation somewhere. So I will give an insight of what home clinic is all about and also what home clinic foundation is all about. So home clinic foundation is a non-profit organization, or let me say community-based organization, which is dedicated to bridging health inequalities by delivering accessible, equitable, and quality health care to undeserved communities through compassionate innovation and the community-centered initiatives. So the foundation works to make healthcare a right, not a privilege. So its impact is achieved through mobile clinics, public health education, digital health advocacy, and community-based research, ensuring that every individual, regardless of location or circumstance, has access to essential health services and information. So under Home Clinic Foundation, we have so many departments. We have a diabetic and hypertensive unit or department, which we hold services every last Friday of the month, of every month, which will provide free education, free consultations, free urinalysis, and meal plans tailored to each individual. We also have drug and substance use disorders, the unit, which sits on its own, and through that unit, we do a lot of education and rehabilitation as well. So if you have anyone suffering from drug and substance use or stuff like that, you can refer the person to us. We also work on reproductive health. So that's about Home Clinic Foundation. Therefore, Home Clinic now, Home Clinic is a patient-centered mobile clinic, which is an arm of Home Clinic Foundation that delivers equitable and affordable health care directly to individuals in their homes and communities. So it leverages on the digital health technology. So Home Clinic ensures accessible, high quality and personalized care that meets each individual or patient unique needs. So that's a brief introduction about of Home Clinic and the Home Clinic Foundation. And I would like Dr. Brain to tell us how you can access us or get to us from your various destinations. So Dr. Brain, can you help us with that?
All right, thank you very much, Vanessa. As I wrap up, I would love to say that this irrespective of the fact that we are talking about peer pressure and peer influences that affects our mind, affects our social and physical well-being. Home Clinic is also committed to providing solutions that can help you address both your mental health, your physical health, and your social well-being. And Home Clinic is a mobile clinic arm of Home Clinic Foundation, like Vanel rightly said. And we are leveraging on digital tools. That's to say, we want to use applications and we want to use technology in order to make us have access to us easily. So in front of you, it's homeclinic.care, which is our website, where we want to show you that if you want to talk to anybody or healthcare professional for your healthcare needs, be it physical, mental, you always have a way of communicating to us in a secure, in a confidential way. And that is it right in front of you. I'm just showing you so that you can all go to your phones. If you type homeclinic.care as you see it on the screen, you can easily have access to us. And so, what are the services we are offering presently? We can do you home consultations. We've done a couple of them, a lot of them already. And we can do you laboratory investigations. You don't need to move to the hospital and stand in long lines. We can also do medication administrations. We've been doing that to several patients at the comfort of their home, especially for those who are disabled or bedridden. We can always offer you that support 24/7, and you can reach out to us just through this platform by just getting to homeclinic.care and you write us on this chat section. We will respond to you. And to know more about us, you can navigate the page. You will see our services, the home consultation, laboratory investigation, drug administration, and many more services. Drug and substance abuse. We have partners and people we work with, like Living Vine, where we offer detoxification and rehabilitation programs through follow-ups and referrals, and also inpatient rehab center where you're admitted and follow up till you have a breakthrough out of your addiction. So we want to make a difference, and so we are calling on all of you in this forum. You can either volunteer with us, you can donate, and you can use our service, because we are committed to changing the narrative by bridging health inequalities in Cameroon and serving you as fast as possible with quality and affordable healthcare service at the comfort of your home. We have our partners. We have Great Reef Foundation, MXT Health Aids, where we provide caregivers in collaboration with them. And we are aspiring to have a tele app soon where you can have your section where it is just your section, like an account for you. You can always talk to us. You can always have your records saved there in a secured way. And you can always have reference and medical reports from there. So we are presently in Bamenda. The head office is at Brazoris Junction. You can write to us at info@yahoohomeclinic.care. You can visit us at the office, or you can chat with us via this WhatsApp number. So many more services will be included here, and we encourage you to always get to us, and we can be able to intervene and provide you timely health access. So thank you very much, and thank you for giving me this opportunity to talk about our digital health platform, Vanilla. And I hope you can all use this service, or you can participate as a volunteer. Let us together bridge health inequalities in Cameroon by leveraging on digital health technology at home clinic. Thank you all.
Okay, thank you for that, Doc. I can see a situation in the chat box. Let me read it out by Marlene. Sorry that I didn't notice it earlier. So let me read the question out. She says, how do you deal with fear of missing out? Question mark. Because that is why we usually do things or join groups that don't align with our values. So how do you deal with fear of missing out?
If we had
Please, if
people,
you can answer that.
we have people in the house who are into financial markets, they would understand this better. Practically speaking, fear of missing out is a trap that we all will get into one day. Fear of missing out is abbreviated as FOMO. And thank you for asking that brilliant question, Marlene. I think we are all trapped in situations where we feel like we need to catch this now, otherwise, we might miss it for life. Who told you so? That's a question. And if you always feel pressure that you're going to miss it, bosses always pass around. Others think that, like, there is this situation where somebody made an analogy that, do you prefer to follow the influence of peers and marry at 25 and live the rest of your life in misery, or do you prefer to marry, let's say, at 30, 35 and live forever happy? The question is up to you. So how do you deal with FOMO? There are situations and contexts where, because you've missed one opportunity does not mean the next opportunity is not going to come. Rather, prepare yourself very well so that you are ready, and when opportunity meets you when you're prepared, you can easily seize those opportunities. So rather than getting into FOMO, get yourself ready so that when your opportunities come, you can easily identify them and you can fit in properly. Remember that any opportunity that does not meet your values, values that will support your mental well-being, your physical well-being, or things that are a threat to these aspects of your life, know that it is already bad from the word go, or from the first contact with it, it is already bad to your mental, physical, and social well-being. So it is a no. It is not something you should chase. Wait, the right boss or the right moment will come to you, and when it comes, it should meet you prepared. It should not meet you unprepared. And that is how you can deal with FOMO. That is practically what I can share when it comes to dealing with uh, fear of missing out and falling in for peer pressure, which is negative. Thank you for that question.
Okay, thank you for that brilliant answer, though. Miss Marlene, I don't know if he has answered it to your taste. If yes, please just indicate by hands, by thumbs up. Okay, great, great. Please, if there's any other question, you can just indicate by a hand show. Okay, I think that is it for now. So I want to thank each and every one of you for joining in tonight for this amazing session. And I believe that we all have really learned something that we'll go back with. Okay, I think there's another question. Let me check. Okay, there's another question by Faiza Yusuf. She says, are there any potential roadblocks or challenges you foresee that we should prepare for? That are there any potential roadblocks or challenges you foresee that we should prepare for? So, Dr. Brain, is there anything you can say on that?
Well, the reason why we are having this discussion today is to bring to your conscious awareness that whether you like it or not, the things that are around you in the form of your friends, the things you see, the things you hear would influence you either positively or negatively. Whether you're conscious or you are not conscious, they will all contribute in one way to driving you behave in a certain way. This discussion is so that we can become aware of some of these influences and prepare ahead of time for them. Some of these influences that we've outlined here are things that can lead you into toxic relationships that can either be detrimental to your mental and your physical health, toxic behaviors like substance use disorder, and many more. The toxic behavior is not just about substance use disorder. Maybe you can be in relationships that make you, or you can be influenced by things that will make you mismanage your money, or you can make you become more of people pleaser than objective, or than somebody who achieves their goals or objectives. So you need to identify these things first of all by preparing ahead of time, knowing that these things will come, and setting your values and your rules. What are your goals in life? That's of the things you should ask. What are your career goals? What are your health goals in terms of physical well-being or fitness? What are your goals in terms of the things you eat or dieting? What are the goals you have in terms of your career? Those are goals that once you set them ahead of time, you will know which relationship or which influence on you is toxic and which one is good. And by doing so, you can forecast your challenges and practical ways on how to overcome them, and also ways of diagnosing that you're already having peer influence, and then you take measure and positive steps in order to overcome them. Remember that once you are not aware, you cannot prepare, and once you are not prepared, you cannot overcome once this influence hits you. So by knowing, by preparing, by having values, you can be prepared to overcome them when they come. Even if you are to fall, you will not fall like somebody who is unprepared, and you will wake up and you pick up yourself and you move on. So thank you very much. I hope this helps.
Okay, thank you. for emphasizing on that. If there's any other question or contribution, we can you can indicate by a hand show. That will give you the floor. So is there any other question or contribution as per the topic? Okay, I don't see any questions, so I think that is it for now. So I want to thank everyone for joining the meeting of tonight, and have a blessed night.
Thank you and good night to everyone. The video will be available for your reference on YouTube anytime, so it will be shared on the group with the PowerPoint slides.